Hi. Okay. This is going to be a pretty short video, I think. Um, During class, I do a lot of discussion about these. Obviously, I can't do that with just me in a video. I guess I could stare at myself and talk to myself, but that's really weird. And it looks like I'm not looking at myself. I just stare at the light of the camera all the time. That being said, this is going to go really fast because we're not doing discussion. So if you missed today and this is like your makeup or whatever, lucky you, because this is going to be short. Okay. Um, I will honestly say it's not exciting either. I don't have any cool stories for you. It's just like boom, 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 done. Yeah. In your notes, we finished the Troy stuff. Okay. And so now we're going to look at, we're going to look at a polis. A polis. And basically, what we need to look at is the types of governments that different poleis had. Did you catch what I just did? We need to look at a polis, and then we need to look at the types of governments that the different poleis had. Polis is one of your vocab words. It's a city-state in Greece. It's a Greek city-state. The word metropolis, Indianapolis, Polis, city-state. Okay. Of course, today there's just normal cities, but back then, city-states. As I've told you before, in Greece, they are city-states in that they all have different governments. They're going to have some different laws. They are united in like trade. And they do sometimes join together to go to war, which we saw with the Trojan War. But for the most part, each city, like there's no Greek central government yet. There's no king of Greece yet. Right now, it's just a bunch of people and a bunch of poleis. Polis is the word for city-state. Poleis is the plural. I always have kids who are like, oh, it doesn't sound like a plural word. I know. I think it's a pretty word though. Poleis. Poleis. But it means more than one. That could matter in your writing assignment. Writing assignment? Yeah. In fact, I should look. Yeah. Writing assignment. So be sure that you use the correct, okay? Poleis, plural. Polis, not plural. And it just means city-state. A polis is a city-state. Sparta is a polis. Sparta and Athens are Poleis. I know it sounds weird. I'm just a messenger though, remember? I didn't make it up. So, we need to look at some of the different types of governments that some of these different poleis have. Okay? This is not exciting. Just hang with me. The first kind you should already know, it should be pretty easy. Monarchies. A king, queen, hereditary rule. King, queen, hereditary rule. Easy. You've already had monarchies. We've had them all year. We're gonna have them for the rest of the year. Monarchy, king, queen, hereditary rule. Got it? Easy. Boom. Okay, an oligarchy is a little different. Oligarchy. Oligarchy. In an oligarchy, you have a small group of nobles running things, more than one. Okay? A small group of nobles. It's not a bad idea to write, like next to monarchy, it's not a bad idea to write Troy was a monarchy. It's not a bad idea to write, I don't have room to write it here, but Sparta is an oligarchy. Sparta. Sparta's weird. It has two kings, and I'm going to go into more detail about this when we talk about Sparta next. But it has two kings, not one, two. Both kings are hereditary rule. Both kings. And it has the Council of Elders also working with them in the government making laws. So two kings plus the Council of Elders. It's a group of nobles who are in charge of the government. A group, more than one. I often have kids go, oh, like our government. Mm-mm. No, in an oligarchy, you aren't voting for who gets to be in charge. In an oligarchy, they get to be in charge. Why? Because they're nobles. Or in the case of the kings, hereditary, both kings. But I'm going to explain Sparta in more detail. Like I said, I think it's the next video. Yeah, in the next video, Sparta. So just hang on. See, look right here. I'll explain how this actually like works in the next video or tomorrow in school, however you're watching this. But here we go. For our purposes right now, I would just put next to this Sparta. Sparta. The next kind of government is called a tyranny. I have heard kids pronounce it tyranny. And I'm like, tyranny. And they're like, it's not what I learned. Okay. I don't know when you learned this, other than the United States fighting the tyrant, king, whatever his name is, in the revolution. But it's tyranny. The form of government is a tyranny. And you have a tyranny when you have a tyrant in charge. Okay, so what's a tyrant? Well, probably the best example of a tyrant is Adolf Hitler. You can argue that Napoleon Bonaparte was a tyrant. You could argue that Julius Caesar was on his way to being a tyrant when he was killed. But the best, most clear example of a tyrant is Adolf Hitler. You can have a tyrant in any form of government. You can have a king who turns into a tyrant. You can have a oligarchy who one of the leaders turns into a tyrant. And it goes from being a monarchy or an oligarchy to a tyranny. You could have a democracy where the leader turns into a tyrant and it's no longer a democracy, it's now a tyranny. It can happen with any government. So what is a tyrant? Well, it's somebody who actually at first starts out really well. Starts out getting the people's support. People trust him. People like him. He makes promises. And then you know what? It's crazy. He keeps those promises. Adolf Hitler starts out okay. Now, okay, stop. We know because we have his book, Mein Kampf, which I'll explain all this later. We know that he always planned on doing the bad things he did. We know that, okay? But he starts out promising the people of Germany that he can fix the economy and all this stuff. And he gets put into government. He gets appointed chancellor. And his first 4 years, he does fix the economy. When your economy is in shambles, please listen to me. When your economy is in shambles and somebody promises that they can fix it, please be careful. I'm not saying don't believe them. I'm just saying, as a historian, and not just Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte too, historically speaking, when your economy is in shambles and you promise, like you have a leader promising to fix the country, people always believe him. And sometimes that's not great. Sometimes it is. Napoleon did fix the French economy. Hitler did fix the German economy. And then Napoleon went to war against all of Europe. And then Hitler did World War III, World War II, and eventually, the Holocaust at the same time. What happens with a tyrant is they start off good. People trust them. They do what they promise. And then at some point, those devil horns come out. In the case of Napoleon, he'll take people's rights away. So did Adolf Hitler. Again, in the case of Napoleon, he's going to go to war with all of Europe. So did Adolf Hitler. Hitler's a really, really clear visual of a tyrant. Now, you could argue that Napoleon was not tyrannical. I've never heard anybody argue that Hitler wasn't tyrannical. But with a tyrant, you start out great. Everybody trusts you. Everything's cool. Everything's good. And then your devil horns come out at some point. Once you have people's trust, your devil horns come out, you'll turn on the people, and you are a bad guy. You'll take people's rights away, you'll be harsh, you'll be cruel, that kind of leader. That kind of king. I'm trying to think of other examples off the top of my head, and right now I can't think of any. There are so many tyrants though, and right now I can only think of those. But and we'll talk about the what is it? Possibility of Julius Caesar. Was he on his way to becoming a tyrant, or was he not? We don't know. Tyrants don't always plan to become a tyrant like Hitler did. I mean, Hitler is like, well, first I'm going to get their support. Check, did that. Second, I'm going to actually do what I said. Check, did that. Then I'm going to start World War II. Kill a bunch of people. Like his is a check-off list. He plans it. Did Napoleon plan it? Most of the time, it doesn't look like they plan it. It looks like an issue of power gets to their head. That sounds weird. Power just gets to their head. I don't know how else to say it. Power hungry. There we go. And the tyrant just comes out. But we will have some city states that have tyrants in charge. I won't deal with them with Greece. We will mention a city state called Rome. Before it turns into a republic. When we get to Rome, they start out as a monarchy, and then one of their kings, Tarquin the Proud, turns into a tyrant. And then the people of Rome overthrow him and create a republic instead, and then they go back to a king, but we'll get there. Okay, so that's where I'll really start talking about tyrants. Look at the next one. Democracy and republic. I want you to look at both of them. The Greeks are going to come up with the idea of democracy. All people get a say in the government. All. It's a beautiful idea. But I'm about to rock your world a little bit. There is no such thing as a true democracy anywhere in this entire world. Your home is us. No, think about the Pledge of Allegiance. You say the pledge, right? And to the democracy to which it stands. Is that what you say? And to the republic. Guys, we're not really a democracy. We are a democratic republic. The idea of democracy is there, letting people rule. But you can't ever actually let all people vote. You can't. Why? Why we gotta leave people out? Think about our country, because we are a republic. Most people get to vote in our country, okay? Who gets left out? Well, kids. Because we're just rude and mean and we just don't want y'all to vote, right? No, sweet angels. Do you know I was about to say, you don't have to say anything, because that's what I do in class. Obviously, since I'm on video, you don't have to say anything. But who is it that is our governor? Oh, you probably do know our governor right now because he's in the news every other day. Well, bad example. Who is one of our senators? No? Don't know? Okay. Who is one of our representatives in the House of Representatives? Don't know. So the Democratic thing, the primary just happened, or is happening still, I guess, and people are getting to vote for who they want to run for president. So who's on the ticket for the primary? Who are our candidates? You're like Trump, Democratic. Okay, listen. Y'all are 15, 16 years old. I didn't know these answers either when I was 15 or 16. I didn't know and I didn't care. I'm not dissing y'all. I don't want y'all to be overrun by adult stuff when you're a kid. I know I just said kid. You're like, I'm not a kid. I didn't care either. But that's why kids don't get to vote. In a democracy or a republic, if you're going to let the people have a say in the government, the people have to be educated enough to know what the crap's going on. If the only news you ever watch is Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok, then you shouldn't be voting. Unfortunately, a lot of adults are like that too. But that's the issue. It's not like, okay, you're 17 years old and you like don't pay attention to anything political. And then boom, you become 18 and all of a sudden you care. No, we know that's not the case. Because again, there's adults that don't have a clue. They just follow whoever they're told. We know that, okay? But that's the idea. It's not about age necessarily, it's about education. Do you know what issues are out there? And do you know where you personally land and what you personally believe about those issues, not what your mom and dad tell you and you go, oh, I'm with them, or not what your friends say, or not what society tells you is cool. What do you believe about the issues? And which candidate agrees with you? The idea is until you know that, you shouldn't be voting. The problem is there's no easy way to determine that. I can't determine who is, well, I can once people speak, but if an adult is talking, I can't wait. If an adult is not talking about politics, I can't determine if they know stuff or if they don't. Uh. So we kind of just hope that when you're about 18 and you're on your own and you're starting to like pay your own bills and stuff, that you just start becoming aware of things on your own. That's kind of the idea. Think about it this way. My niece and nephew. Hold on. Let me pause this. I'll be back in 2. I don't have my pause button. Okay, I won't pause this. Okay, I'm uploading a video. See? Yeah. Okay, so my niece and nephew. Hey, I just won't use my niece and nephew. I'll use my doggies. Okay? Just pretend like my doggies are human beings. And this is my little boy Flint. Look at him, he's so cute. And this is my little girl Freya. Yeah? Flint is 2 years old. Freya is almost 2 years old. She'll be 2 October 29th. Yeah? It's time to go vote. If we allow children to vote, everybody in the whole country, it's a democracy, everybody gets to vote. Then whenever I go to take my children to vote for the president on November, whatever it is, yeah, we go in, me and my little babies, little Flint and little Freya. She's not even 2 yet. He's 2. I say, well, they're going to vote too. And so I give Flint little thingy, and he looks at me and says, Mama, I can't read. Because, I mean, my dog talks. Yeah? I'm like, oh, baby, you're right. You can't read. Just mark this one right here. He said, okay. And then Freya looks at me and she's like, I say, oh, baby girl, just mark this one right here. Good baby. Who actually voted for them? In actuality, I voted for what I want, Flint and Freya. I got 3 votes. I got to vote 3 times. Guys, we can't let little kids vote because that's what's going to happen. No offense. That's what's going to happen. It's the truth. We can't let that happen. It's not fair that people would have more than one vote. So that's why kids don't get to vote. Okay, so who else doesn't get to vote? Non-citizens. Okay, this one is always a hot issue among people. But that's not fair. I've lived in this country forever. I get it. I do. Then become a citizen. I don't know what else to tell you. If I go to Germany as a non-German, I shouldn't get to vote. I shouldn't have a say in their country if I don't live there, if I'm just visiting. Now, if I've been living there for 10 or 15 years, I should get a say, right? But the law says you have to have your citizenship first. So that's what the law says. If it's a country that you want to stay in, then what's the big deal about getting your citizenship? I don't know. Like, I don't. If I want to live in Germany for 20 years and I want to have a say, I want to be a citizen. I don't know what to tell y'all about that because kids always get mad. They're like, that's not fair because people have been here for 20 years and they should have a say. I agree. They should. But the law says you have to be a citizen. So if you want to have a say, don't you just take a test to be a citizen? I mean, I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe it's more involved. I don't know. But I don't know what to tell y'all because I do agree with you. If you've lived here for 20 years and you want to vote, then I agree you should be able to. But if you have to jump through some hoops first, then you have to jump through some hoops. So I don't know what to tell you, except that's the law. Who's the third group that can't vote in America? This is the one that it usually takes kids a little bit of time in class to finally get the right answer. Felons. Everybody who's in jail doesn't lose their right to vote. Um, if you have a misdemeanor and you spend, I don't know, some time in jail, a year or whatever, so you still get to vote. But if you've committed a felon, a hardcore um, crime, then you lose your right to vote. Some of you will think that's fair, some of you won't. We'll talk about losing rights actually next semester, and I'll go into a lot more detail. But the basic idea is this: if you do something bad enough that you take someone else's right to life, liberty, property, or the pursuit of happiness, if you take that away from them, then some of your rights are going to get taken too. You took theirs, your rights get taken. One of the rights that gets taken away is your ability to have any say in the government. Again, some kids will agree and say that's fair. You took someone's life away or whatever. And some kids don't think that's fair. And that's okay. It's okay to have different opinions. But it's still the way we work as a country. So what's weird is this. Athens, and if you want to put Athens next to democracy and republic, you can. Athens comes up with the idea of democracy. But pretty quickly, people are like, oh, wait a minute. What about the kids? Because, they can't read. Oh, wait a minute. What about the slaves? Because they can't read either. Oh, wait a minute. What about the women? Because they can't read either. Wait a minute. What about everybody who's poor? They can't read either. Um, Pretty quickly, Athens is going to go from having the idea of a democracy, everybody has a say by voting, to a republic where, well, really only educated men who own land get to vote. It's crappy, but it is what it is. Okay. Now, in most Poleis, not every single one of them, and that's what I want you to notice. Most of these Poleis, okay? If you are free, that means not a slave, you own land, then you're a citizen. So if I don't own land, I'm not a citizen? Yep. Is that fair? It is what it is. Now, if you're a citizen, you have to pay taxes. So did the non citizens. And you have to be in the military in most city states. Most. For a certain amount of time. Okay? Well, they're all different. And of course, you got to obey the laws. If you are a female or a slave or a foreigner, you do not get to be a citizen. It's not even an option. So you mean my dad could be the king of Troy and I'm the princess and I don't get to be a citizen? That's what I mean. Yep. Nice. Makes our citizenship look a lot easier, huh? No slaves. By the way, do you notice there's slaves in Greece? Mm-hmm. It's not about race. I'll explain it when we get there, but it's not about race. Okay, so I know that this wasn't like a fun part of learning about Greece. It's kind of boring, I know. But we have to do it so that from now on, whenever I'm like, oh, they're an oligarchy, boom, you're like, I know what that is. Okay? Plus, all those words are on your test. All of them. You have to know which government is which. Partially because we're going to come back to these governments all year. The whole rest of the year, we'll have oligarchies, we'll have monarchies still, we'll have republics. We won't have any democracies, but we'll discuss it. And of course, we'll have tyrannies. Okie dokie. And there are others. We could talk about an aristocracy. There's a whole bunch of others, but I have kind of whittled it down to the big ones. Okie dokie. Okay, that's the stylus. We will deal with Sparta tomorrow in class. I feel like I have like, oh, it's my freckles. Look at my freckles. I don't think it's the window anymore. I was thinking that I look so weird because of the window. I don't know. Maybe it's because my roots are showing. Sparta's next, sweet angels.